Hi, my name is Brandy.
And I am Rhonda.
And we are Girl Talk with
R&B. All right, guys, welcome to our second episode. And this episode is called Don't Forget Your Village. All right, so we're going to be talking a little bit again about how me and Brandy met and what our relationship has done for each other. And then we'll talk about different types of friends. And Brandy has a book too that she's going to introduce to you guys to let you guys, it's a good read. She thinks that it's a very good read and that you guys should get it so that you can learn about finding your people, okay? All right, so we'll start off by talking about, again, how we met. And this was one evening I was almost done with my book and I saw her online, or what I thought that she was online. And I wrote her and I just asked her, what did she think about doing women's summits and stuff together? And so this was just something that God gave me. I was sitting there and he was just like, she is your person. And I was very scared at that time to write her, but I obeyed. So we want to talk about what has come between us as a friendship and what we'd be able to offer you guys and offer the world by me listening to what God was saying to me.
Right. So Rhonda says how we met. It's like more like how we connected. Because again, we went to high school together, and we said that in the last episode. Mm-hmm. We went to high school together. We just were not in the same circle, but we connected. Mm-hmm. And I'm so grateful for the connection because it has blessed both of us. Yes, right. Like Rhonda was saying, that this book right here, if you have not heard of this book, actually, it's called Find Your People, right? And so it's a good book. If you want to listen to it, I highly recommend that. Listen to it, but it talks about, again, the benefits of female friendships. And if you are that person, it's like, how do I meet new people, right? I'm not in school. Maybe you work from home, whatever, but you're not in a place where you meet new people all the time, right? Mm-hmm. So this right here gives you just some tips on the people that are probably already nearby in proximity or whatever. So I'm gonna talk about that. I'm excited.
All right, so now that you guys know, make sure if you haven't watched or listened to or watched our first episode, make sure to do that. You guys will really, really enjoy it. So let's start talking about some of the benefits. So I have benefited. Is it benefited? Mm-hmm. I have benefited so much from our relationship just since January until now. Being able to have someone who you can confide in your secrets. Also, being able to share things that you can't share with everybody, you know. That's been one of the things. And then us coming together to build a space for women, mm-hmm. and a space for relationships, and to teach you guys also how to build those relationships, and just coming up with this podcast and everything else that we have planned to do. That's some of the benefits that that I've had from Brandy being, mm-hmm. Is it a new friend? I don't know.
I don't know, right?
Yeah. Just my sister.
Yeah. Yes.
My sister connection that we have.
I love a sister friend. I love it.
Yes.
I love it. And so for me, it's the same. So again, I am truly that person. And if you saw listen to the episode, saw it last week, I talk about, friendship, female friendships matter, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm all about, I love sisterhood. And so I didn't go into too much details last week, but I consider myself blessed. I've always had really close relationships with other females, right? Mm-hmm. From elementary, middle school, high school, on into adulthood. Then I got booed up, And let's just be real. Sometimes, ladies, when we get into our relationships with our boo things, sometimes we put our friends on the back burner. It's not intentional, but it happens, right? And so if you're not intentional about not putting your friends on the back burner, sometimes there can be a distance that can develop, right? Nobody fell out. It's just kind of life happened, right? So what happened was, when I met my husband, you know, I still had my close circle of friends and everything, but I got to a place where I was, you know, just always with my husband, and then a lot of my friends, they, you know, were, again, life had moved them to a different city, or maybe they're parents now. I didn't have any children, so life just kind of took a turn, right? But
life was life,
and life was lifing, and so I remember like my husband would, you know, he would go and play ball with his friends or whatever, and so I would feel some kind of way because I'm like, I don't have no friends, right? Now again, I had always had friends. So at the time, my best friend was in Houston, and I'm like, and this was before, you know, all this social media and being able to text and FaceTime or whatever. But I remember praying, and I'm in my early 20s at this time. Well, I'm not early, probably mid 20s or whatever. But I remember praying and asking God to connect me, send me some female friends, because again, I've always had that, right? And so God did exactly that. He placed a group of women into my life. I met them either work, neighborhood, or whatever. Fast forward now, almost 15 years plus, I have these relationships, right? So again, relationships, friendships are so very important to me. And I'm always talking to women about, you know, doing that and being that. And so there's this thing, all of a sudden I started feeling like God was really wanting me to almost kind of help bridge the gap between women who don't have, or they desire, or whatever, right?
Or struggle with.
They're struggling like with friends or whatever. And so I started praying. I'm like, I want that. And so it's so funny. Again, remember I told y'all last week, I had been praying and asking God to send me someone that I can do this joint effort with. And it's like, you know how they say you want to be a product of the product, right?
Yes.
So I feel like when Rhonda and I connected, I immediately became a product of the product, because I'm like, female friends matter, y'all. Like, no, it's important to have friendships. So when Rhonda and I connected, it was like we hit the ground running.
We did.
And it was like again.
Y'all should see our notes, y'all.
Right.
We have like so many notes. Like,
I'm talking about
our
text
messages,
voice text, you know. And it's so funny because it's like, oh my God, Rhonda is the friend that I never knew even existed until the light switch came on. It's like, girl, you was my friend already, you know. So it's so funny. So again, I'm like, God, thank you, because not only am I talking to women about like reaching out and connecting, I'm living this, you know. So like Rhonda was saying, how I've benefited, like I'm reaching out to her when I'm, you know, going through. Okay, last week, like she said, I'm in school. When I tell you, she's been one of my cheerleaders. Yes. And I'm struggling, and it's like, here she goes, okay, you need to be right. And so it's like she's keeping me accountable, you know.
And then one of the things too, the keeping accountable, it's a way to keep people accountable too. You don't have to be mean about being accountable. You just kind of learn through life how to actually be intentional with what you're trying to relate to somebody, you know. And we have that connection. It's never been a time that Brandy has texted me and I'm like,
what? That was me.
That was me, or something like that. You find nicer ways to be able to do that. And sometimes you have to look within yourself to be able to find how to do that. Because some people are very blunt, which sometimes, you know, we need those blunt friends.
Sometimes we need somebody to be direct.
Yes, you know, but I feel like it's always a good way to be able, and we have that. That's what I love about it. I've never felt intimidated or upset about anything that she has said to me.
Like,
so
did she just?
I know.
Wait a minute. Like, wait, you know,
like, pump the brakes. No,
I know.
Haven't been like that.
So I love that, because again, I'm always telling women that like you can connect with women over a certain age and have that. And I'm like, because here, you know, both of us are 45 at this time right now. Yeah, we're both, you know. So
we look good, don't we?
Right. You know, so we would be what you call some mature women, right? And so again, I feel like God has allowed it to actually come into fruition. Because again, I'm always encouraging women like, get out there and meet some people, you know. And I'm like, I literally am walking what I'm always talking about. And so I love it because again, it's kind of like, you know how you can have friends that you've been friends with forever, you guys don't talk all the time, but when you pick up, you just like, there was no space. And so I feel like when Rhonda and I connected, again, it was almost like there was already a foundation that we didn't even realize was being built.
Yes.
And then when we connected, it's like, oh my God, like this is my sister friend.
Yes.
Like this is my girl. Like if when something exciting is going on, like I'm like texting her. You know what I'm
Look
saying?
at us, we doing it.
And it's like, that's funny because again, this just started 6 months ago. You know what I'm saying?
It's like we've been knowing each other.
We've been knowing each other,
but not on this level. I would say
it's like we've been connected via social media, but Rhonda wouldn't know. Well, I think most people know if you follow me, my favorite color is purple. But there was some things that was like, okay, I wouldn't have known that. Like when we started talking, I was like, wow, I would not have known that. Because again, we had a surface level connection, so to speak. But then when we actually connected, I'm talking about we were up in Razoo's just talking. And again, it was kind of almost like, you know, when you go out on a first date with somebody and you're like, hey, I can't wait till the next day, right?
Yes.
So, yes.
And it was that way. I felt that way too. So like with me and my friends, like I said on the last podcast, I was so busy. I had my family, my life. And so that was my goal this year, is to be intentional about spending time with my friends. Like we always say, oh, we gonna get together, this. Like I'm the organizer of all things when it comes to my high school friends, right? I'm always trying to organize, let's go out to eat, y'all. We need to go to brunches. We need to do that, do this, you know, just so that we can spend more time together. I do believe that it's just a really good thing, especially not even if you're not married, but just to get away and just have that time with your friends. It just brings so much positivity and so much joy to me. That's how it is for me. Like to be around my girls, it's just an amazing time, and I was missing that so much. So much.
It sounds like it's refreshing.
That's it. Yes. That's the word. That's refreshing.
It's refreshing. And for some of us out there, you need to be restored and refreshed.
Yes.
So again, get out there and meet some people. And this is the thing. So sometimes we talk about, you know, quality over quantity, right? Life happens, like we said, life be lifing, and there are times that you may find that you're not as close to maybe your friends as you once was. Again, it doesn't have to be that we fell out. Sometimes life just happens, right? You may feel it's kind of getting a little stale, but you have capacity and you desire, right? So we also want to talk about, how do you find, we say don't forget your village,
right?
But how do you even recognize your village?
Yeah, so I think with recognizing your village, sometimes, especially if you were like me, it could be really, really hard because you're just focusing on, with me, I was focusing on my business, I was focusing on my family, of course, you know, and just trying to make things work. And all this time, I had people who were around me who, outside of that business, like outside of my family, who were there and supporting me, but I was just kind of ignoring them. And I just have taken the time to like really realize, especially with like lifing and things happening, the people who were around me and I just kind of maybe ignored. Now it's not that anymore. I try my best to acknowledge those people around me.
Right. Because what I want everybody to realize is that, number one, we need people.
We need
right?
people.
Again, God did not create us to be in isolation. Your capacity for how many people you need, how you desire is going to be different. But we need people. And so we've already talked about some of the benefits of, having people. Again,
a village.
Having that village. social isolation increases depression. Social isolation, people, you think about elderly people, and a lot of times when their health can really deteriorate, a lot of times it's because they're not connected.
Yep.
So we know if social isolation is not good for the soul, it can create depression. You can only imagine that being connected is the opposite, right? So we need each other.
Yep.
Rhonda talked about the accountability, right? Iron sharpens iron, right? Yep. So in order for you to become the best version of yourself, you're gonna need some people in the background pushing you.
Yes.
Somebody in the front pulling you.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
You need those cheerleaders in your life.
You need those
for sure.
cheerleaders. You also need, again, when we think about accountability, sometimes it is that, sis, let me talk to you for a minute. Like, you know I love you, but I need to let you know I see some of the things that you're doing, or maybe some of the things that you're saying, and have you ever thought about this?
Yes.
Again, accountability or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so in order for someone to be able to hold you accountable, in order for you to hold somebody else accountable, you got to have a certain level of trust.
Yes,
right? Because can't nobody just come in here and tell me about myself, so to speak, right? So it takes that. So again, those connections have to be there first,
Yeah, I do agree with that. I do really agree with that. So you want to talk about the different types of friends?
Okay, let's talk about it.
All right. So I did write some notes and just different types of friends that I have. And some of the friends, you have friends that you can share your deeper secrets with. You have friends that you can travel with. You can, and Brandy said that one, you have your friends like you've had since high school. Y'all might not talk for months, or maybe, for months. And I can say with me and my best friend, like we do talk more now than we have in the past years. But I mean, it was months, but every time we would talk, we would pick right back up where we left off. It wasn't any hard feelings about not talking, And you know what I was thinking about too? You can have some of those friends the more needy friends,
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to, what is the word? You have to have a balance with your friends, because sometimes people can be pulling so much from you that you have to kind of separate yourself from them. So, and that's another thing. It's okay to separate yourself sometimes when it's not a healthy relationship. You want to try to build more healthy relationships. Somebody who's a negative Nancy, you don't always want to be around people who are negative.
Right.
Right?
And I think what a good thing is to kind of check how you feel when you leave that person. You know what I'm saying? When you get off the phone, you're like, oh my God. And it's one thing that this person may have really been going through. You're like, wow. But if it's like, you see, you're like, okay, I can't do that right now. And again, I'm not saying that you end that friendship relationship, but you might have to kind of like, how am I benefiting? Am I benefiting from this? Am I feeling so drained when I leave this person? Or is it one of those things that I'm like, man, I feel so refreshed? So again, pay attention to that, because sometimes this is something else. I said earlier about sometimes you can grow apart. It's okay. But sometimes we're at a place where we're trying to we're trying to force what no longer fits.
Yes.
Right? We get to a place where you are trying to force because you're like, I want it to be what it used to be. And
it's not going to be that way.
It might not always be like that. Again, it's not a bad thing. Sometimes it's just life. People do grow apart, and it's okay. It's not oh, I got to go and trash you now, whatever. But, but again, sometimes we have to get to a place where it's like, okay, this is no longer naturally fitting
or benefiting me.
Yeah, am I trying to force this? So pay attention to that.
So we have spiritual friends, long life friendships, and short-term friendships as well.
Yeah.
And so Brandy brought up a point that I wanted you to speak on about. Sometimes you can have friends that include all of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, we're looking at this, the different type of friends. So Rhonda has like 6 different types of friends. And the reality is you may have one friend that falls in 4 different categories. Yes. You may have your closest friend that you can share your deepest secrets with, but maybe that friend, they're not about travel. You know what I'm saying? Because life is going on. It's not, it's okay. Just you're going to Hawaii, the Bahamas, or whatever. They're not able to go, but you may have that friend that, hey, they live. Maybe they live in a different state, and it's like, hey, girl, what you doing? July 15, whatever, and you guys meet, right? But again, you also may have that friend, like I said, that maybe that spiritual person that when I'm going through, I gotta call you. Can you pray with me about this? I need some godly wisdom. You know what I'm saying? Like I need. Can you again that accountability, like.
And then with her, like, I don't even have to say, can you pray for me? She just right.
It's like,
that's what I love.
It's like, connection. Hey, I'm about to do this voice 6. You know what I'm saying? Voice 6 be 9 minutes long, But yeah, so the reality is you may have, again, be fortunate enough where one friend may may have it all. You know what I'm saying? Or you may have that friend that is like, this is my friend since I was 5 years old. And that's the one that maybe when y'all, if you're, maybe out of town, you come home, they come down for Christmas or whatever. Again, but it's not to say, I don't want people to be like, okay, well, I'm putting a value on, again, quality always over quantity. Quality is about value.
Yes.
Right? Quantity is, okay, I'm having a birthday party and I can invite 200 people. You just start going through your list, right? But then that quality is, I'm having an intimate birthday dinner and I'm going to invite 25 of my closest friends. Who am I going to invite? Again, who do I invite when I'm having just a kickback? Right? So yeah, you kind of think about that. So again, just think about who would you be able to reach out to, right? Yeah. Again, your travel buddy may be that person that you only get with once a year. But when y'all get together,
it's a good time.
It's a good time.
Yep, I love that. I love that a lot.
Right. So, how do we find these people, right? We talked about that. Like Rhonda was saying earlier, like outside of business, it was kind of like, sometimes they're right under your nose and you're not, you don't even you're not paying attention to them, right? For instance, if you are a part of a religious organization, say you go to church, it may be somebody, I know me, I'm guilty of this. I kind of sit in my same area all the time. So it might be that person that you always see, and it's like, hey girl, I see we always be sitting in the same, that may be that person. If you have children, maybe the people that you see all the time when you're picking up your children. If you have children, your children are a part of sports. You may because I have a circle I call the basketball moms, that we've connected through basketball, and again, just if you were going through, now I do want to say this before we move on. If you were thinking like, if I was really going through, I don't have anybody. Like some of you may be saying, outside of my spouse, outside of my, my life partner, like I don't have anybody. I want you to really, really dig deep and think about what's holding you back.
Yep.
What's holding you back? Because let me tell you, I don't care how much you love boo thing.
It ain't always easy.
You know what Prince say, if I was your best friend, because the reality is sometimes, guess what? I need to vent about him.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
I know you're going to be listening, babe, when you
Right.
It's okay.
Been back. Yeah, it is what it is. But we all need that healthy, because even I said with men, I want my husband to always have healthy men in his, men that are going to provide wisdom if we're going through. Because guess what? Yeah, we love each other. We might not always like each other. You know what I'm saying? But to have somebody to say, hey, You know, so again, if you're like, I don't need nobody but my boo thing. No, because guess what? Your boo thing might need some space sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Yes, indeed.
I can, with you saying that, like, that is true, because you're not always going to get along with your significant other or your spouse. It's always going to be sometimes that you do need that person that you can, or people that you can go and you can talk to vent to, and somebody who can give you some knowledge and hold you accountable if you're wrong as well. You know, because I know we not always right. We're not always right. We do make mistakes too, you know, so we need those people who are going to be like, Rhonda, no, you were wrong for that, you know.
Did you say that?
Yes.
No.
You know.
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody who's a positive person, not anybody like, girl, leave them. No.
Right, exactly. Now let me tell you, let me slide that in. Be careful if you have friends that as soon as you're going through and they're like, no, it couldn't be me. You might need to find somebody to talk to. Again, because sometimes people are speaking from hurt.
Yep.
Okay, and so be careful if you find like everything is, girl, please, you better than me. It couldn't be me. You might be like, you know what, Lord, I need some friends with some wisdom, you know. And again, so be mindful of that.
Yeah, I do agree with that. That you just when you're picking your friends and people who you want to share things with, you definitely want somebody who's going to be a positive light in your life, not somebody who's a negative Nancy, because it will only bring you down for sure.
And you know, even talking about that, so going back to quality over quantity, because sometimes you do get to a place where you have to do some purging, right? Now, I'm not saying go on, like, you know, Facebook, social media, or I'm about to go through my friends list. I'm not talking about that.
Be like, bye-bye.
You know what I'm saying? Not that, but when you sit and reflect, you know, we last week Rhonda talked about how she had to do some self-reflection, right? So there are times where you need to be real, and this with any relationship, okay? Whether it's a romantic relationship or just your sister connection. Am I benefiting from this? Like, you know, is this person only my friend because what I bring to the friendship, to the relationship? Pay attention to what you're invited to. Pay attention to what you're not invited to. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to be funny, but I'm one of those people, like, don't just invite me to something where it's expected for me to bring a gift, because I feel some kind of way about that. I'm like, well, what about the kickbacks? I want to come to the kickback or whatever. So again, when, you know, like we said earlier, focus on those people that are bringing value. Yes. That you know, they're bringing value to your life. They're not always putting you down. They're not in secret competition, because that apparently is a real thing, you know, with the whole frenemy type stuff or whatever. So pay attention. Again, just like if it was a romantic, you know this person ain't good for you, but for the sake of being with someone, you may stay. Pay attention to that even with your sister friends. You don't have to go and call them and break up. You know, you can just kind of find a way to fade. Or you may say, you know what, I just don't really feel like I'm really benefiting from this. Okay? So
because I know that can be hard too for some people, because like with me, I'm a very I don't even know what to call myself, but I don't like to hurt people's feelings. You know, so I just try, like what Brandy said, there's different ways that you can back away from it, you know, and you don't have to be a part of something that is not benefiting you. I just say, especially with our age, that it's really important that we pay attention to that. You know, you want value in every aspect of your life. You don't want to have somebody who's going to always bring you down. But even though with family, you can have people who are negative in your family, and it's hard to get away from those people. But you can limit your time. And the energy that you give to those people. Yes,
you can be cordial, but you don't have to invest I think that's what it comes down to. I don't have to invest my time, you know. And you may want to have, if it's somebody that you value the relationship, you may want to have a sit down, because like we even mentioned last week, sometimes people may not be aware. They may be going through something and they're struggling with something or whatever, and maybe they have not taken the time to realize, I am being a little selfish. You know what I'm saying? So if that relationship is important to you, that person is important to you, you may want to take the time, just like, hey, I just kind of feel like this, like as of late, this is what I'm getting. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be anything confrontational. It's just like, I'm not saying that this is what you're doing, but this is how I feel. And then it may even allow the person to come in and explain, or it may just be like, you know, what you're feeling is real. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes that's what it is.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's good.
So, find your people. Highly recommended. Highly recommended. One of the things that I like in here, and we were talking about it earlier, was you have acquaintances, you have your village, and then you have your close friends, like I said, which we call our, you know, maybe our BFFs or whatever. And so with the acquaintances, that may be multiple people, right? The acquaintances are not necessarily the ones that you are, if I'm going through at 1 o'clock in the morning, or I'm gonna say for me, you know, because I go to bed early, right? You know, but I have people in my life that if they reach out to me, I'm gonna be there for them, right? And they know it. They know that we are at that level. And so we all want the close friends, but a lot of times we don't really think about how important the village is, right? And so the village is, according to this book, it says it's a diverse community of consistent, interconnected people. Again, the village is that person that, again, you may not, you know, traveling with them, but they may be that person that you're like, hey, for instance, like I said, if your children play sports or whatever, the village may be where, hey, can my son, my daughter, can they ride to practice with you, right? Because again, they're consistent. You see them every week, probably multiple times a week between practice and the games or whatever. So again, think about who would be your village, okay? Know that it's still important to nurture that village. I know it's so cute, y'all. We see the little ones out here or whatever. And so again, don't be careful not to, you don't want to overlook it, okay? It could, again,
nurture your village.
Nurture your village. Sometimes it's a simple text message.
I have to do that, and I used to do that because I was so busy, and I'd be like, Lord, let me just text my friends and just say, I love you.
Right.
You know, because I was just so busy, like, they don't hear from me for months because I'm just pushing so hard. So now I have been intentional about nurturing my village and the people who have been there for me, when before I was probably just I was just ignoring the things that they had done to help me to get to where I was, basically, you know? So, but yeah, that's just been great.
Yeah, so we're talking about, hey, why it's important having that accountability. Remember, iron sharpens iron.
Yes.
You know, if I'm going through, I need that emotional support. I need that. I want to go have fun. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about, again, being able to trust people. Trusting someone that requires a level of intimacy, right? You've shared. In order for me to be transparent and vulnerable, I gotta trust you first. Well, you don't just automatically go in trusting people. It takes time, right? And then we talk about building a space together that will inspire and encourage sisterhood, healthy friendships. Again, in order for you to get to your highest self, you need people.
Yeah.
Okay. You're gonna.
I won't
need
say you
people.
can't do it alone, but
yes,
it's better when you do have people support you.
You can do it alone. Let's be real. You can live this life with just like, child, I don't need nobody. right. But it's the quality, okay? So again, I'm not, I don't think like we don't want you to feel like, oh, they just want me to go and try to find me 5 best friends. No, it's not that.
No, it
but
could be one.
it's that we know that again, quality of life, it friendships have an effect on that, right? So again, yeah, you can rise to the top, but it can be lonely at the top. So what good is it? Yeah, you got your boo thing, but you also want your girls. Like, oh my goodness. So like-minded people, right? Like I said, nowadays with social media, we got a pool, matter of fact, one of my girlfriends was just telling me how she connected with a group of ladies in a Facebook group, and she reached, I guess she made a post or whatever about them getting together, and she connected with these ladies, right? So yes, and guess what? I'm sure that connection is going to help her grow. Again, iron sharpens iron.
Yes, it does.
Right? So again, yeah, you can make it to the top by yourself, but it just will be so much sweeter if you got a couple of people that you can like, girl, let me tell you what happened today. I'm so excited. Or, man, that didn't work out the way I wanted it to. And you got somebody that can give you a word of encouragement.
Yeah, that support.
Yeah.
It makes it so much better.
It does.
So guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this second episode of Girl Talk with R&B, and we will be back with some more good stuff, all right?
Alrighty.
Bye, guys.
Remember, female friends matter.
Female friends matter. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.